This is the service point training for coordinated entry. After logging in to the system, you will see the dashboard page. From here, click the Client Point menu item. On the client search page, enter the client's first and last name. Partial names will also work. Press the search button. This is done to make sure the client has not been entered before. If the client record does exist in the system, select the client and continue to add information as shown in this training. If the client record does not exist, continue adding the demographic information. Complete the name, if only partial name information was used to search. Indicate if the full name or partial name was entered. If the client record does not exist, continue adding the demographic information. Complete the name, if only partial name information was used to search. Indicate if the full name or partial name was entered. Once the information on this page is complete, press the Add New Client with this information button. A confirmation window will be displayed. Click OK to create a record for the client. From this screen, you will want to set the system date or back date to the date of data collection, in this case with the program start date or entry date. On the Client Profile tab, confirm the client demographics. This is where you will make updates to this data. To update name, social, or veteran status, click the pencil edit icon by client record. Update the necessary information in the displayed window and click Save. To update date of birth, gender, race or ethnicity, click the pencil edit icon by client record. Update the necessary information in the displayed window and click Save. Continuing on the Client Profile tab, complete the marital, residential questions beginning with marital status. For the client residence, last permanent address subassessment, select the Add button to enter this information. Enter the client's address and zip code, 37403 for Hamilton County. Home and cell phone numbers. If the client is using a phone number of someone else, note it in the client notes. Use the start and end dates to indicate when this information is valid. For example, if a new address and phone numbers are given, enter an end date for the current information and add another sub-assessment entry for the new data. This preserves the history of when and where the client was located. It is important this information is kept up to date. Continue with email address. Again, make sure this is always up to date. Additional information about the client location can be entered in the client notes. Select the Add New Client Note button, enter the date in the notes. For each update of the client location, add a note the assessment was completed on, date, by, name and title, at, location, agency, then select Save. If the client is single, skip the Household section. The Household section will allow you to create additional client and link these clients together to have a household group. From this screen, select the Start New Household. A new window will be displayed. From here you will define the household type, and add new clients to the system. First, select the household type, then you will add each of the client into the system. For each of the clients to be added to the household, enter the demographics information as you did for the first client. Click the Add New Client with this information. The client will be added to the list at the bottom of the screen. In this example, 2 clients have been added for a total of 3 household members. The red minus sign will allow you to remove a client from the household. When all the clients are added, click the Continue button. From this window, you will enter information about the client relationships within the family. For each of the clients in the household, indicate if they are the head of household, the relationship and the date joined the household. There can only be one head of household. Their relationship to head of household will be self. For the other clients, select the appropriate relationship. The date joined the household should be the date the client is enrolled into the program. Select the Assessments tab, select the appropriate VI SPDAT. For individuals select VI SPDAT 2.0, for families, select VIF SPDAT, and for unaccompanied youth select TE VI SPDAT. Select the Add button to enter the required data. The start date is the date the assessment was entered. If a new VI SPDAT is required, create a new assessment with the new date. Continue entering the information on the VI SPDAT. When the assessment is complete, select the Calculate button to update the scores, then select Save. The sub-assessment show the scores for the VI SPDAT, which is now used to prioritize housing. From here, check to see if there are current rental payments or a current housing move-in date. To check for rental assistance services, select the Service Transactions tab, then select View Entire Service History. Prior services will be listed here. Current rental assistance may indicate the client is housed. To check for a current housing move-in date, select the Entry Exit tab. Select the Interims icon, then select the pencil beside the most recent update or annual assessment, then select Save and Continue. Selecting Save and Continue will show the interim assessment. Scroll to the bottom of the window. The last data element will be the housing move-in date. A recent date may indicate the client has been housed. The next section is for the release of information or ROI. This will allow you to keep track of releases and when they expire. This does not replace the need for your current release of information policies. From here, select the household members with the checkbox by the household type. Select the provider, if the release was granted, a yes, or a no. Enter the start date of the release, typically the date of enrollment, and add the end date or expiry date of the release. If needed, the documenting and witness sections can be completed. Select the Save Release of Information. For single clients, you will not have the option to select other household members. The next and important step is the enrollment into the program. From here you can enter the data for the client and household members. Select the Add Entry Exit button. A new window is displayed. As with the ROI step, select the household members, if necessary. Select the provider or the program the client is being enrolled, the type and the enrolled date. The type typically indicates the funding source and program type. HUD will be for Housing and Urban Development Programs, VA for Veteran Programs, RHY for Youth Programs, and PATH for SAMHSA programs. Select Save and Continue. On this screen, you will enter all the data as of program enrollment for each client in the household. The current client record is highlighted in blue on the left. Although all data elements are required, those marked with an asterisk will need data before the assessment can be saved. If the client had been in a program prior to this enrollment, the data will carry forward and only verification and updates are required. From here we'll review the data needed to complete an entry record. The demographic information will carry over from when the record was created, if not, enter it here. Starting with prior living situation, data entered will determine homeless chronicity. How this data element is answered will determine the next series of questions. Use the link displayed to view HUD's final rule on the definition of chronic homelessness. Selecting homeless, institutional or temporary, permanent housing situations will present a few different questions based on the response. Length of stay in previous place is the amount of time in the prior living situations, and approximate date homelessness started as the date when this current episode of homelessness began, then the number of time and number of months homeless in the last 3 years. Each of these screens show the different data elements needed to determine chronicity. Current living situation. This data section has a different way of entering the data and are known as subassessments. For this subassessment, select the Add button. A new window will be displayed with data to be entered. The start date is the day the living situation was determined, in this case it with the defaulted entry date, and it usually isn't necessary to change it. Complete the data as shown, however end date isn't required. Select Save to save and exit the window, or Cancel to exit without saving. Continuing down through the assessment, enter the required data. Continuing with the income section, this kind of subassessment is different than the prior subassessments. Income, non-cash benefits, insurance and disabilities subassessment use the HUD verification function on the top right to enter the data. The completion status indicator shows a red triangle to show the data is incomplete. A green check mark shows the data is complete. To begin entering income, select the HUD verification status icon. A window with all the required income types will be displayed. Here you will indicate which income types the client is receiving or not. The simplest way to complete this form is to select the No option at the top of the window. All the income types will be set to No. If the client isn't receiving any income, select Save and Exit to complete this section. If the client is receiving an income type listed, select the Yes option. A secondary window will open. Enter the monthly amount, including both dollars and cents. Leave the other date elements unless the type is Other and specify the income. Select Save. To enter additional income types, continue selecting the Yes option and entering the amount. Select Save and Exit to complete the income entry. If the client has 2 or more sources of the same type income, simply add the amounts together for the monthly amount. After the income has been entered, the subassessment will show the first 5 incomes. The magnifying glass in the upper left of the subassessment will display all the incomes in one list. This is used for confirmation and troubleshooting data entry errors. Much the same as income, non-cash benefits is the same data entry workflow as income. Select the HUD verification status indicator, which will display the benefit types. Select the No at the top of the window to set all type to No, and select the types of benefits being received. No additional information is needed. When complete, select Save and Exit. Insurance follows the same workflow as both income and non-cash benefits. Disabilities workflow is similar. Additional information is required for each disability set to Yes. Both of the next coordinated entry subassessments use the Add button to complete the data. The first coordinated entry assessment requires the date, assessment location, type, level and prioritization status. Select Save to complete the entry. The Coordinated Entry Event Sub-Assessment requires information about coordinated entry events and referrals. Again, use the Add button to enter data here. The final data elements on the entry assessment are data of engagement, which is the data client has been engaged in case management services. Generally, this can be the program start date. Move-in date is generally left blank on the entry assessment and is completed when a client enters housing. When the entry assessment is completed, for clients entering on their own and not a part of a household, select Save and Exit. For clients in a household, select Save and return to the top of the screen. For clients in a household, select the next client in the list in the upper right portion of the screen. When the client's name is highlighted in blue, the data entered will be associated with that client. Repeat for the rest of the household members. When all the client records are complete, select the Save and Exit button. After the client entry information is completed, the Entry Exit Summary screen will be displayed. This will show a list of the program enrollments. The client count icon will display the household members enrolled. Finally, the paperclip will allow documents to be attached to the enrollment record. For additional information or help, please contact the HMIS Help Desk.